Mbappe and Haaland are going to dominate the Ballon d'Or over the next decade, as they aim to guide their rival clubs to Champions League titles. However, Man City and PSG aren't the biggest of rivals, so instead, let's move them to two clubs who have a huge rivalry. Blyth Spartans and South Shields are rival clubs from either side of the River Tyne, and play in the National League North, England's 6th division. These two teams will play out a fitting rivalry for two of the game's biggest names. However, they won't be alone, as I've moved a couple of their teammates along with them. Haaland will be joined by Phil Foden and Josko Gvardiol as they suit up for South Shields. And Mbappe is joined by Manuel Ugarte and Achraf Hakimi at Blyth Spartans. I'm looking these players at their respective clubs for 15 seasons, and at which point they'll head back to their original clubs if they haven't already retired. South Shields lift the title at the end of Season 1, with Blyth beating Scunthorpe United in extra time in the playoff final. Haaland just edged out Mbappe to win the league's Golden Boot. The Mariners tended to play Haaland up top, Josko at left back and Foden on the left wing. Blyth Spartans tended to play Hakimi at right back, Ugarte in the middle and Mbappe on the right wing. Now obviously Mbappe is going to be the best player in that team, so surely it would make sense to play him up front to try and get as many goals as possible. I mean, I'm not the manager, but I think he's better than the current striker Alex Bruce.
Not a chance.
But Mbappe did score in the FA Trophy final, the non-league FA Cup, to lift the trophy over Southport. So will we get a double promotion in Season 2? We do. Both teams finish on 106 points, but South Shield lift the title on goal difference. The difference being Erling Haaland scoring 39 goals to Mbappe's 25. Mbappe spent most of his season on the left wing instead, and not enough time up front, where he scored 6 goals in 8 games. If he'd played there all season in the same ratio, he would have scored 36 goals, which would have been 11 more goals across the season, which would have given Blyth a goal difference of 64 and the title. So Graham Fenton may be doing a good job with a double promotion, but I don't think he's the man for the job. Despite that, I think Mbappe and Haaland are neck and neck right now. Haaland may have the 2 league titles, but Mbappe has got the cup win and of course playoff wins. But that all changes in Season 3 as South Shields lift the title and Blyth miss out on the playoffs. Look how tight it is from 2nd down to 12th. And once again, the difference may well have been the goals scored. If Mbappe scored at the same rate as Haaland, surely they'd be going up in the automatic promotion places. Again, another season of playing on the wing rather than up front. South Shields also beat Blyth Spartans in the EFL Trophy quarter-final. However, they went on to lose the final of the competition on penalties to Salford in a game where both Foden and Haaland were subbed off. So Haaland now has the advantage, but South Shields are slowing down, but only to 5th in League 1, where they go on to beat Sheffield Wednesday in the playoff final. Blyth do improve to lift the League 2 title and will remain a division behind South Shields. And they won't be joining South Shields in the Championship anytime soon, as Blyth have just come 14th in their first season in League 1. Or will South Shields be joining Blyth Spartans back down in League 1? Well, Haaland scored 22 times this season, but was only enough to finish in 17th place. The Norwegian scoring enough goals to keep them 8 points away from the relegation zone. So we could be here at a stalemate for a few seasons, as both clubs look to build teams that can fit around their superstars. A change in manager might help though, as Blyth Spartans have sacked Graham Fenton and brought in Darren Moore. He actually plays Kylian Mbappe as a striker who gets 36 goals across the season, but Blyth finish in 8th place, missing out on the playoffs by 5 points. See, Darren Moore knows what he's doing. He's a sensible guy, just like you lot are when you press the subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Haaland scored 26 times in the Championship as South Shields rose at the table to 5th place to play in the playoffs, but ultimately lost 4-1 on aggregate to Sheffield United. It looks like they're building around their big 3 players with a really good cohort of loan players, 4 of which are probably good enough to play in the Premier League. So can they reach the big time in 2030? Sadly not. Once again, they lose in the playoff semi-finals despite improving to 4th this time around. And next season, they'll be joined by Blyth Spartans, who claim automatic promotion from League One. But looking at the squad, they'll need to make a few improvements to the first team in order to do well in the Championship. And so heading into Season 8, it marks the halfway point of Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland being sent to exile in the northeast of England. 30-year-old Haaland is perhaps the most physically dominant player in the game, with an elite mentality, whereas 32-year-old Mbappe has a slight edge when it comes to technical ability. Comparing the two actually shows how different both players are, and perhaps a slight edge towards Haaland. However, as both players are now entering their 30s, they are going to start declining soon. So if they want to reach the Premier League, it's now or never. Or maybe they are past it, as South Shields finish 1 point and 1 place ahead of Blyth, with neither Haaland or Mbappe winning this season's Golden Boot. They've actually been beaten by a kid who's only got 10 finishing and 12 composure.
What?
However, a season later, South Shields finished 3 points away from the playoffs, with Haaland winning the Golden Boot, whereas Blyth finished in 14th again, but with 3 more points. In Season 10, South Shields finished once again in 7th place, just outside the playoffs, whereas Blyth slide down 1 place to 15th. It also seems like Blyth have replaced Mbappe, as Will Lancashire gets the goals for the Spartans. Mbappe is declining, but his current ability of 170 out of 200 still makes him one of the best players in the game. Haaland has the benefit of being slightly younger, and so his current ability is still a little bit higher. So in Season 11, it might be the last real chance either of these two superstars have of making the Premier League, and it won't be Blyth, as they get themselves relegated. This time South Shields do get into the playoffs, but lose the final on penalties, with Josko Gvardiol missing the decisive kick. So close, yet so far. In Season 12, Blyth will be heading back to the Championship, after missing out on the League One title on goal difference. But will they play South Shields next season? Well, I'm afraid they won't, because just like Blyth, their stars are getting old. Which means they have plenty of experience to get the team promoted, finally winning the playoffs by beating Wolves 1-0 to earn promotion to the Premier League. But not only that. South Shields also won the League Cup, in a game that Haaland and Gvardiol didn't even start, meaning they'll also be in the Conference League next season, where they lost in the second qualifying round 4-3 on aggregate to a team from Cyprus. The less said about this European campaign, the better. And maybe the Premier League campaign as well, as South Shields get relegated in 19th place, just 1 point away from safety. It means that next season Haaland will play against Mbappe, as Blyth record an 18th place finish in the Championship. So in the penultimate season before our stars move back to their original clubs, Blyth have come in 24th place in the Championship, and South Shields miss out on automatic promotion by a single point and then lose the playoff final to Crystal Palace. An agonising season for two very different reasons, especially for Erling Haaland, who finished as the league's joint top scorer. And in the final season, sadly a 39-year-old Mbappe can't get Blyth back up into the Championship, but a 37-year-old Haaland can help South Shields lift the Championship trophy. Too bad he won't be there next season to try and keep them in the Premier League. They end up getting relegated the next season by a single point, but won the FA Cup final on penalties over Chelsea, which put them in the Europa League for the next season, where they lost to Napoli 3-2 on aggregate in the round of 16. In total, Erling Haaland played 653 times and scored 415 goals for the Mariners. Mbappe, on the other hand, made 638 appearances for the Spartans, scoring 311 times, which is a great return when you consider for the most part he was playing on the wing for them. After going back to Man City, he only made 3 appearances in the next 2 seasons. Mbappe actually ended up playing for PSG too, scoring 18 times in 27 games, but only made 9 appearances for the first team. I think we have to say overall Haaland had the slightly better career in terms of getting to the Premier League. However, I think a lot of that has got to do with the managerial choices that they made to sign the players to play around Mbappe and Haaland. In their absence from the top flight, Bukayo Saka dominated the Ballon d'Or, taking home 6 out of 15 awards. So giving non-league teams world-class players can get them to the Premier League. But would giving a non-league club the world's biggest stadium be a more effective way of getting them to the top of English football? Well, you can find out in the video on screen right now.